Wondering how to tell which eggs from your hens are quality, likely to be great hatching eggs? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Kathy from Family Farm Livestock, and I am going to show you examples of some good choices to incubate and some not so great choices. So let's get to it. Alrighty, we've got two sets of eggs here. Just as examples, there's the first set. There's the second set. Hopefully, just by looking, you can tell which group are the candidates for hatching eggs and which group are not. In case you're unfamiliar, these are the ones you should consider for hatching eggs, and these are not. And we'll get into the reasons why these guys made the not list. We'll start with the ones you should possibly consider. It all depends on what you're going for. First of all, we should notice that this one here is a duck egg. You can hatch duck eggs just like chicken eggs. No worries, they just take a little longer. But it's nice size, the shell is good. And the same, these are all chicken eggs now. The same can be said for the rest of these. Good size, pretty clean, good looking shell. And the reason the shell and the size are important is because the shell needs to be strong to last the whole incubation period. And the baby inside needs the space. So an egg that isn't the size it should be for the breed, and that depends on the breed, but if it's small for the breed, the baby doesn't have enough space to develop. So don't pick that one. So these are all nice sized eggs. I didn't clean any of these. They came from the nest looking just like this, which is important because on the outside of the egg, there's a cuticle, sometimes called a bloom. You need that on there. Once you wash the eggs, you remove the cuticle. And you don't want to do that. If you've got to wash the egg, it is not hatching material. So any of these eggs, once you gathered them up, you'd take them inside. You'd close the carton and stick the carton kind of on a tilt. And then the next day, tilt it the other way. You need to start the incubator because you don't want to keep and try to hatch eggs that are older than a week. So that's it for the good eggs. Now we'll move to the not so good candidates. Alrighty, here's the not so good candidates. A lot of them bomb out because they're dirty. It would take a lot to wash this one. Not to mention it's small. So not a good choice for a hatching egg. These four here, not only are they a little dirty, I also found them in what I'll call a mystery nest. The hens started laying eggs in a nest that I didn't find for a couple days, so I don't know the story. And if that's the case, don't use those. Then this one is a teeny bit dirty, that's true, but it is small. Now, while it's cute, I love the color, I love the blue eggs. This is what's called a pullet egg. It should be significantly bigger. When she's laying full-size eggs, they'll be bigger, more like this size. And instead, it's this size. So there's not enough space in there for the baby to develop. So as cute as it is, Don't use it. Now, this is a goose egg. And what you probably notice first thing is it's dirty. True. But that is not the reason why it's in here. The reason why it's in here is if you look really, really close, you can see the crack. Since this egg is cracked, get it up here, look. Boy, there's a big one. Because we had a pretty hard freeze a few nights ago, and the eggs that were in the nest froze. None of these can be used. You must have an intact shell. So that's sad. I was really excited about these eggs, but all the eggs that cracked, they had to be pulled out. Don't use a cracked shell. The other thing I wanted to say is if you want purebred chicks, now it doesn't matter, you don't have to have purebred chicks, but if you want purebred chicks, you have to have the rooster you want to be the dad of the chicks be the only rooster with those hens for 3 weeks before you want to start collecting eggs to hatch. So for easy math, if you got your new rooster, so the only rooster with your hen, and you put him in with the rest of your chickens on March 1st, you need to wait until March 21st to start gathering eggs that you can be sure are, when you hatch the chicks, the dad will be your new rooster. And that's if you've had a rooster in with your chicks, with your hens, pardon me. If your hens have been running just hens, you haven't had a rooster on the place for a couple of months, then your wait is much shorter. You still need to give it a few days. You'll start getting fertile eggs in a couple days, but if you want to grab them to hatch, you'll want to be sure that they're fertile. So give them like 4 days to a week to make sure all the hens are bred before you start using those eggs from a new rooster. Okay? So if you have multiple roosters and you're okay with whatever babies you get, you're excited, that's awesome, then go for it. Just pick nice clean eggs that are good size. If you want to be sure of who the dad is, because roosters, if you have a few different breeds, your chickens crossbreed like crazy. Just because to you, the Orpingtons just stay with the Orpingtons and the Wyandottes just stay with the Wyandottes, they won't. They shamelessly crossbreed. So if you have 2 or more roosters running with your hens and you want to know the specific dad, 3 weeks, and then start collecting. Just so we've got it straight. And of course, you'll know who the mom is if you have different hens. Like if you have a white egg layer and a blue egg layer and a brown egg layer, well then sure, you know who the mom is, but you have no idea who the dad is. And once again, it is very, very likely that all the roosters will be breeding all the hens. So if you want to know what's going on in that egg, you need some separation for 3 weeks before you start collecting hatching eggs.